Welcome to a new video about Formula 1. Today we analyze one of the most surprising crises of the 2025 season: Lewis Hamilton's difficult adaptation to the Ferrari SF-25. After the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, Hamilton's situation is critical, and team principal Frederic Vasseur also has much to say about this complicated transition. The 2025 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix was undoubtedly a turning point in the season for Lewis Hamilton and his relationship with Ferrari. After a series of disappointing performances, the British driver was at a critical juncture. At the end of the race, where Hamilton finished a modest 7th, a brief but revealing exchange during his post-race interview set the tone for what many would describe as Hamilton's crisis with the Scuderia. In that barely 32-second interview, Hamilton bluntly made his frustration and discontent clear. When a journalist asked him if he had ever felt comfortable during the race, Hamilton's response was blunt: no. With a simple word, the 7-time world champion communicated the level of bewilderment and discomposure he felt with the SF-25 Ferrari's car. This comment did not go unnoticed and quickly became the reference point for understanding what was happening to the driver in his new team. The interview continued, but what stood out most was Hamilton's brutal honesty in not making excuses for his performance. He didn't try to justify his position or blame external factors. He simply accepted the situation as it was. There's really nothing to take away from these 3 weeks except that I'm slow. I have to figure out how to undo that. These words revealed not only his frustration, but also a deeper concern about whether he would be able to turn things around in the near future. Without embellishment or evasion, Hamilton acknowledged that the challenge of adapting to the Ferrari was much more complex than he had anticipated. The driver's body language at the time was also a clear reflection of his emotional state. Although Hamilton has always been known for his composure and ability to stay calm in difficult situations, on this occasion his discomfort was palpable. There was a clear disconnect between what had been one of the greatest expectations in F1, his move to Ferrari, and the harsh reality of having to deal with a car that failed to make him feel comfortable. This moment, although brief, became symbolic of Hamilton's internal struggle, showing the enormous gap between what was expected and what reality was delivering. While his teammate Charles Leclerc celebrated a podium finish and maintained good form with the SF-25, Hamilton couldn't find the performance that would allow him to live up to what Ferrari expected of him. This episode was a clear indication that, for Hamilton, the transition from Mercedes to Ferrari was not simply a change of team, but a complete reinvention of his driving style and his adaptation to a car that, despite its potential, seemed to resist his attempts to dominate it. And it was precisely that interview, as brief as it was significant, that made it clear that Hamilton was facing a much greater challenge than he had anticipated when he joined Ferrari. This was, without a doubt, a turning point in his season. The situation went from being a simple adaptation phase to a crisis that affected not only his performance but also his morale and the expectations of the entire team. And while that 32-second interview didn't resolve everything, it became symbolic of a battle that is still far from over. After the 2025 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, Ferrari team principal Frederic Vasseur had to face one of the most delicate moments of his career by aligning the team with the Lewis Hamilton situation. The British driver, one of the greatest in Formula 1 history, was struggling to adapt to the Ferrari SF-25, and expectations both inside and outside the team were high. Vasseur, who had been instrumental in Hamilton's signing, knew he had to handle the situation tactfully, without giving in to despair, while also acknowledging the obvious problems. At the end of the race in Saudi Arabia, Hamilton's frustration was evident, and Vasseur was quick to break his silence. He publicly acknowledged that the driver's weekend had been tough, and admitted he had a very quick chat with Hamilton to address the situation. However, what stood out most was the team principal's balanced stance, which went beyond expressing unconditional support for his driver, but also highlighted the problems within the team as a whole. Vasseur offered constructive criticism, focusing on the need to improve performance consistency for both Hamilton and the team. One of the most important points the Ferrari principal emphasized was the issue of ups and downs. Hamilton's inconsistency in the first few races of the year was not only due to a personal issue for the driver, but also to poor performance across the team. For Vasseur, this type of fluctuation was something that needed to be addressed collectively without pointing fingers. He acknowledged that not only the driver had to adapt to the car, but Ferrari had to do its part to adapt the SF-25 to Hamilton's needs. The Ferrari team principal emphasized that the key was consistency, a concept that seemed to be missing from the team's strategy. According to Vasseur, it wasn't enough to have outstanding moments or fast laps during some sessions. The team had to be strong throughout the weekend, especially in free practice and qualifying. The goal wasn't just to improve in the final 20 laps of the race, but to maintain solid competitiveness throughout all phases of the event. This comprehensive approach Vasseur adopted was crucial in understanding that the problem wasn't solely in Hamilton's hands, but that both the driver and the team had to make adjustments to optimize the Ferrari SF-25's performance. At the same time, Vasseur was clear in emphasizing that Hamilton also had to adapt to the driving style required by the car. The characteristics of the SF-25 required a different approach than what Hamilton was used to at Mercedes, and that transition wasn't going to be easy. On the other hand, Vasseur was also pragmatic in acknowledging that the problems wouldn't be resolved overnight. The transition from a driver with so many years at a dominant team like Mercedes to a team like Ferrari required time, patience, and a gradual adaptation process. The Ferrari director emphasized that, although Hamilton's car could improve, quick miracles couldn't be expected. "You can't replace 12 years of collaboration in 2 weeks or 2 races," said Vasseur, highlighting the magnitude of the challenge of making this new partnership work. At the same time, the Ferrari director didn't hesitate to take a firm stance on the need to improve the team's overall performance, pointing out that the problem of inconsistency also lay in other aspects of the SF-25. Meanwhile, Vasseur continued his work with the team, focusing on technological and strategic improvements and looking for the best way to support Hamilton while remaining committed to ensuring the team was in a better position on the grid. Frederic Vasseur's stance was instrumental in calming the waters within Ferrari, a team that, following Hamilton's mishap, needed a balanced and rational approach to prevent the situation from becoming even more tense. His ability to remain calm, while still acknowledging both Hamilton's weaknesses and the challenges inherent to the SF-25, reflected a mature leadership attitude, focused on working together to resolve issues. Lewis Hamilton's comments after the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, in which he described the rest of the season as simply painful, sparked a wave of speculation and concern about his future with Ferrari. With the first races of 2025 already underway, the situation didn't seem easy for the British driver, who faced not only difficulties adapting to the SF-25 but also increasing pressure from within and outside the team. However, despite the complicated circumstances, Hamilton's story is far from over. Throughout his career, the 7-time world champion has demonstrated remarkable resilience, and although the current situation seems bleak, the possibility of a recovery is still on the horizon. One aspect that cannot be overlooked is Hamilton's ability to adapt throughout his career. Over the years, the driver has had to face numerous challenges, from team changes to the transition between different generations of cars. In this sense, although the process with Ferrari is proving longer and more difficult than expected, Hamilton remains an exceptionally talented and experienced driver, capable of overcoming significant obstacles. In fact, it wouldn't be the first time Hamilton has found himself in a challenging situation and managed to recover and shine again. The 2025 season may be difficult, but the fact that he is willing to work on his weaknesses and learn from the SF-25 shows that he is committed to the adaptation process, which is always a positive sign for any driver in a similar situation. Hamilton's progress is also influenced by the updates Ferrari continues to introduce to its car. The Italian team hasn't sat idly by. In fact, during the Bahrain Grand Prix, Ferrari introduced a package of updates that included key modifications to the floor, diffuser, and rear wing, all aimed at improving the car's aerodynamic performance. These improvements have been particularly important in helping to resolve the issues Hamilton has highlighted, such as the SF-25's lack of stability and excessive sensitivity to ride height. While not all issues have been resolved immediately, Ferrari is continuing to work on long-term solutions. If the team can continue to develop the car effectively, it could create the conditions necessary for Hamilton to return to his best form. Beyond the car's improvements, Ferrari's role in this process is crucial. Frederic Vasseur has insisted that both the driver and the team must assume their share of responsibility. Vasseur noted that Hamilton must adapt to the SF-25's driving style, while Ferrari must do everything possible to improve the car and make it more suitable for the Briton. This balanced and collaborative approach could be the key to finding a long-term solution. Patience will be key. A car doesn't change overnight, and the relationship between driver and machine takes time to develop, especially when it comes to a team as historic and complex as Ferrari. However, the biggest unknown remains Hamilton's performance in the upcoming races. The 2025 season is still in its early stages, and the next round of races could be crucial in determining whether Hamilton can overcome the adaptation crisis. While the driver has shown glimpses of his talent, such as his sprint race victory in China, the lack of consistency is an issue that urgently needs to be resolved. Upcoming circuits such as Imola could offer a favorable setting for Hamilton to test the SF-25's new updates and potentially get closer to his optimal level. Furthermore, the evolution of the SF-25 is another crucial factor that could offer some hope. Throughout 2023, Ferrari demonstrated its ability to develop and improve its car during the season, resulting in stronger performance towards the end of the year. If Ferrari can replicate this success with the SF-25, the updates could give Hamilton a more competitive platform to work from, potentially allowing him to improve his performance and narrow the gap to his teammate, Charles Leclerc. Another element to consider is the 2025 calendar. As the season progresses, Hamilton will have more opportunities to adapt to the car and improve his performance. Some circuits, such as those that favor higher downforce or those where Hamilton has a positive track record, could provide the opportunity for a resurgence. Teams know that consistency is key to success in Formula One, and if Ferrari can ensure Hamilton is more comfortable in his car, we could see a significant improvement in results. Despite the harsh reality of the moment, Hamilton remains an exceptional driver with a history of overcoming challenges. If anyone can overcome this challenge, it's him. Hamilton's words after Saudi Arabia, while somber, should not be seen as the end, but rather as a wake-up call for an adaptation process that, while painful, could result in one of the most impressive recoveries of his career. If Ferrari continues to develop its car and Hamilton maintains his determination, the light at the end of the tunnel may not be as far away as it seems. Only time will tell if this difficult chapter is just a pause before another great chapter in the driver's history with the Scuderia. Lewis Hamilton's start to the 2025 season with Ferrari has not been the fairy tale many anticipated. Despite high expectations for his signing, the reality has been a constant struggle to adapt to the SF-25, a car that does not immediately fit his usual driving style. The differences with his teammate, Charles Leclerc, have been evident, and the expectations of fans and Ferrari have largely gone unmet so far. However, it would be a mistake to prematurely judge the impact of this stage in Hamilton's career, as throughout his career, he has demonstrated a unique ability to adapt and overcome obstacles. Hamilton's current situation with Ferrari should not be seen as the end of his career with the Scuderia, but rather as a challenging chapter that, over time, could result in a significant evolution for both the driver and the team. The SF-25, with its technical specifics and narrow performance window, represents a considerable challenge, but it also offers an opportunity to demonstrate the adaptability of Hamilton, a driver who has overcome difficult times throughout his career. The approach of Frederic Vasseur and Ferrari is also crucial. The Ferrari team principal has maintained a pragmatic and balanced stance, recognizing that both the team and Hamilton must work together to overcome obstacles. The updates to the SF-25 have been a step in the right direction, and Ferrari remains committed to the car's ongoing development. If the team can continue to improve the car and Hamilton can, in turn, find ways to adapt to the car's new characteristics, there could be a gradual recovery in results as the season progresses. It's important to remember that Formula One is a sport where consistency is key, and the teams that manage to maintain solid and consistent development throughout the year are typically the ones that achieve success at the end of the season. If Ferrari can offer a more competitive car and Hamilton can find his footing with the SF-25, performance could improve, and what now looks like a season filled with frustration could become a comeback story. Over the years, Hamilton has proven to be one of the most resilient drivers in Formula One history. In moments where others would have succumbed to the pressure, he has been able to reinvent himself and emerge stronger. While the 2025 season has begun with significant obstacles, it is important not to lose sight of Hamilton's potential to overcome any challenge. The current situation, although difficult, should not detract from what the driver can achieve with time, adjustments, and a greater connection with his car. As the season progresses, patience will be key. Formula One is unforgiving, but it also offers the opportunity to reinvent oneself and turn complex situations around. Ferrari, with its history and resources, remains a platform that could allow Hamilton to return to the championship fight, but to do so, both the driver and the team must continue working on the adaptation process. Only time will tell if this period of frustration is just a transitional chapter before an impressive resurgence or if the challenges are insurmountable. However, Hamilton's story is far from over, and his ability to overcome adversity could lead him to write a new, successful chapter within the Scuderia.